Hello, and welcome to another episode of the How to Survive podcast with me, Joe Shrivel, and my co-star, Chris Morris. This week on the show, we're talking about Gremlins, the 1984 movie. Next week, we'll be covering Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. If you haven't seen that movie, you have 1 week to go and find it. Otherwise, we'll be spoiling it. If you'd like to get in touch about how you'd survive in Gremlins or Jason Takes Manhattan, the Twitter account is @HowToSurvivePod. The email address is HowToSurviveShow@gmail.com. And if you've enjoyed the show, be sure to leave us a 5-star review on iTunes or whatever your podcatcher of choice may be. And without further ado, please welcome to the stage your hosts for How to Survive Gremlins, Joe Shrivel and Chris Morris.
Steven Spielberg presents Gremlins. Billy Peltzer has a nice home, a nice job, a nice girl, and loving parents who are about to give him...
You're gonna like this. No, don't shake it. We're gonna have to open it now. It won't wait till Christmas.
the most unusual gift he ever got.
What is it? No.
It's your new pet.
But there are a few things to keep in mind. If you expose it to the light, you may hurt it. If you get it wet, it will multiply.
All that from water? They got wet?
Yeah, plain water.
And most important, no matter how much they beg, never let them eat after midnight. Because when they do, they change.
Hello and welcome to episode 70 of the How to Survive podcast. My name is Joe, and joining me as ever is Chris. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you.
Good.
A little bit bunged up, so if that's coming across, I apologise. This week, of course, we're talking about the 1984 movie Gremlins, starring Zach Galligan, Phoebe Cates, Hoyt Axton, and making a welcome return to the How to Survive podcast, Mr. Corey Feldman. Third movie he's been in.
Yeah. The two Friday the 13th and this.
Yeah.
Has he not been in anything else?
No.
I feel like I've seen his face a lot recently. So if you haven't seen Gremlins, then now's your chance to go away and watch it before we spoil the whole film.
Yeah, you've only had 32 years, so you're cutting it fine.
Yeah.
But it is worth seeing. It's good fun.
And it's a Christmas movie as well. And we're well into December now. Christmas is on the way.
Almost upon us.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you hoping for?
Well, I'm hoping for a double dose of How to Survive over the festive period.
You might be of a treat. I don't want to spoil anything. We'll see what happens come Christmas time.
See if there's anything under the tree.
Yeah. Under the podcast stream.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's throw on with the recap, Chris. And once we've got through this, we'll talk about the movie a little bit. And then we'll discuss how we're going to survive if we find ourselves transported back in time to fight against the Mogwai's evil devil spawn.
Sure.
Gremlins tells the story of Billy Peltzer, a teenager who's grown up in a town clearly feeling the pressure of Reaganomics. With everyone struggling to get by, save for the wealthy and obnoxious Mrs. Deagle, Billy's father, Randall, has dedicated his life to inventing modern conveniences and travelling around the country seeking buyers for his inventions. On the road and on the lookout for a Christmas present for his son, he happens upon an antique store in Chinatown. The owner refuses to buy his latest invention, the bathroom buddy, but Randall notices a strange animal in the store. The owner reveals that it is called a mogwai, but refuses to sell it to Randall, stating that it requires an immense level of responsibility. But the owner's grandson secretly sells Randall the mogwai for $100 and warns him of 3 very important rules. Number 1, don't expose the mogwai to bright lights, especially sunlight, which will kill it. Number 2, don't let it get wet. And number 3, most importantly, never feed it after midnight. Randall gives the mogwai to his son a few days before Christmas. Obviously, it would be imprudent to keep a live creature locked in an airtight box under a tree for several days. Billy is very taken with the mogwai, which he names Gizmo. Shortly, Billy is visited by a child dressed as a Christmas tree. The child is Pete, played by Corey Feldman. Corey chews the scenery to the point of digestion and then spills water on Gizmo, Gizmo begins to boil and bubble and shoots furry pods across the room. These pods quickly grow into full-size Mogwai, but they are much more aggressive and naughty than Gizmo, who is generally very well behaved. Billy soon notes that one of the Mogwais is a clear leader. The Mogwai in question has a mohawk, and Billy names him Stripe. Billy takes one of the Mogwai to his high school biology teacher, Mr. Hansen. Even though Billy is now a working adult, he keeps contact with his teacher. Why not? The teacher looks it over and gives it a blood test, much to the Mogwai's upset. That evening, the Mogwai are screeching and begging for food. Billy looks at the clock and notes that it is definitely well before midnight and no mistake. He gives them all chicken, but Gizmo refuses the food. Mr. Hansen, who's been pulling a late one at the office, leaves the school around midnight and leaves his sandwich right next to the Mogwai's cage, the one he's taking care of.
Do you know what time it is when Mr. Hansen leaves, by the way?
Midnight?
2:20.
Really?
And this is something that's happening concurrently with Billy feeding the gremlins in his room.
Ah.
Just worth noting that for later. That's all I'll say.
In the morning, it's revealed that Billy's Mogwais tricked him by stopping his clock. And now, since they ate after midnight, they've all transformed into green pods, which Mr. Hansen notes are cocoons, suggesting that they're undergoing some kind of transformation. In short order, the cocoons hatch. Billy heads to the school to meet Hansen, but when he arrives, Hansen has been murdered by his hatchling. Billy chases it around the school before remembering that there are 5 hatchlings in his home, so he calls his mother to warn her to get out of the house. Instead, the mother goes upstairs, where the hatchlings have been bullying Gizmo, who is now safely trapped in the laundry chute. There she sees Billy's ransacked room. Before hearing a noise downstairs, she rushes down and finds the hatchlings baking cakes in her kitchen. She kills one in a blender, stabs one to death, and then microwaves another one. She chases one into the living room, where it hides in the Christmas tree. It attacks her, but Billy arrives home just in time, lopping off the hatchling's head with a ceremonial sword the family keep on the wall. Stripe, who is the leader of the hatchlings, rushes from behind a curtain and jumps out of the window. Stashing his mother safely at a neighbour's house, Billy chases Stripe to a local YMCA centre. Once there, Stripe jumps in the swimming pool, which begins to flash, boil and bubble. From the pool appear hundreds of hatchlings, who begin marching around town, pulling wires out of things and generally causing havoc. We settle on the home of the town drunk, Murray Futterman, who previously told Billy to watch out for gremlins, creatures that he believes were hidden inside consumer electronics by Asian manufacturers in order to attack unsuspecting Americans. The hatchlings, who by now we can confirm are gremlins, hotwire Mr. Futterman's snowplow and drive it through his home and straight into him and his wife. Billy goes to the police and tells them about the events of the day, but they don't believe him. But they soon receive a call to tell them of a disaster at Murray Futterman's house. As they travel through town, the police realise that Billy was actually telling the truth. All around town, these little green men with big ears are causing havoc. Not least when the wealthy Mrs. Deagle is fired across her street to her death after some gremlins adjusted the settings on her stair lift.
Adjusted the settings. Yeah.
The gremlins continue to run amok, killing townfolk and even organising a lock-in at the local bar where Billy's girlfriend Kate works. Billy rescues her and they run to safety in the local bank. When they come out, the gremlins have all disappeared. They soon discover the entire gremlin population in a movie theatre watching Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs and having a great time. By breaking a gas pipe and lighting a newspaper on fire, they manage to blow up the cinema and kill all the gremlins inside. All except for Stripe, who has made his way across the street to find candy. Yum yum. They chase Stripe into the building, but he proves too smart for Billy, overwhelming him with a chainsaw. As Kate tries to turn on the store's bright light to overwhelm Stripe, Gizmo comes to the rescue, driving a motorised Barbie car. Just as Stripe seems poised to jump into the fountain and spawn more gremlins, Gizmo pulls the blinds, bathing Stripe in sunlight and melting him. As the family recovers at home, the old store owner from the beginning of the film arrives in the living room, he appears in the living room, and tells them they've all behaved irresponsibly with the Mogwai. Gizmo is glad to see his previous owner, and they leave, with Gizmo bidding Billy a fond farewell. And that is Gremlins.
What a film.
Did you enjoy it?
It was all right. It was good fun. I don't think it has aged particularly well.
No?
Not as well as, other 1980s classics like Back to the Future,
Yes.
which I think is, still as enjoyable as it ever was. And similarly, things like Raiders of the Lost Ark, or basically most other 1980s things
That we still watch today.
Yeah. But I think I can see why a generation of people consider it a classic.
Yeah.
But I think the humour in the first half is brilliant, and then it basically falls down a bit as soon as the Gremlins properly show up.
Yeah.
Because I think the first half relies on quite sharp writing,
Yeah.
and then the second half relies on look at these like wacky novelty puppets doing naughty things.
Yes.
Yeah, and so I think that's just less enjoyable, and I think it probably had a lot of novelty value in the 1980s, which it doesn't have as much today. Also, like many horror comedies, it's not scary or like particularly funny, or at least not when the horror parts of it start. It's not very funny.
It is funny, like
it's
looking back
kitschy,
on it.
isn't it? Like yeah.
When it happens, I've got a few summary reviews which kind of sum up like what you're saying. I think.
Yeah.
This is from the time. So
Okay.
Jonathan Rosenbaum said, "What's confusing yet ultimately illuminating is the way the Gremlins function as a free-floating metaphor, suggesting at separate junctures everything from teenagers to blacks to various Freudian suppressions."
Wow. Okay.
Roger Ebert has a similar sort of thing to say. He says, "The level of serious film criticism is a meditation on the myths of our movies: Christmas, families, monsters, retail stores, movies, boogeymen. But at the level of pop movie going, it's a sophisticated B-movie." More negative is John J. Puccio from Movie Metropolis, who says, "There's a mischievous playfulness about Gremlins. That's its most endearing quality.
Right.
But I found it grating on me early on and soon turned to mean-spiritedness."
Okay.
And Vincent Canby says, "Gremlins is far more interested in showing off its knowledge of movie lore and making random jokes than it is in providing consistent entertainment."
Okay.
Would you agree with that?
I don't know whether or not I feel as strongly negative as that last one, but I think it is less concerned with giving like a consistent narrative. Yeah.
Yeah. It goes into like sketches with like Gremlins. Like the scene where they take over the bar is probably the worst scene in the film for me.
It was boring. It was it's actually left me bored.
Yeah.
Like and sort of all of the protracted vignette bits, like you say, that are like sketches. So like if I was cutting the film down, I'd get rid of, drunk snowplow man, maybe even Mrs. Deagle, although that is funny. Like a slapstick
fired across the street. Yeah.
And then the policeman goes, "That's Mrs. Deagle." Like that stuff's funny. Like the policeman in the car as well is quite funny when the guy's going, I want to go back to the station now.
He just does his window up.
Yeah. So all that sort of stuff's, mixed, I think. I liked the first half of the movie a lot more because I think
that's where you've got all the dad's inventions as well.
Yeah, which are really funny.
Yeah, and it's like they're never mentioned. Like she's trying to answer the phone by pressing the remote control.
Exactly, yeah.
Or like when he says turn on the lights, and she's got like this antenna to try and turn the light on, which she stood next to.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
Yeah, it's funny, yeah. And like just the little touches, like the swords by the front door falling off every time. And, I'll tell you what, you're saying about the change in tone, how it changes when the snowplow man gets run over with his wife, right?
For me, it goes from like comedy to like actually
unpleasant.
Yeah, they're murdering people.
Well, I'll see that and raise you the story about finding her dad dead in the chimney.
Yeah, but that's a very divisive part, even in the production stage, because apparently they were like, that's just really unfunny.
Yeah, it's not funny at all.
Recap that for us.
So the love interest in the film, Kate, recounts a story about how she lost her father, which was that one Christmas he wanted to surprise them by dressing up as Santa and appearing from down the chimney. And he fell into the chimney, basically, or fell down the chimney and broke his neck and died instantly.
Yeah.
But they didn't find his body for like weeks when it started to smell.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
That's horrible,
so, but it's not like kitschy horror like the rest of the film. Like, oh, isn't it horrible that Mrs. Deagle got fired out of her window at 50 miles an hour off her chairlift? Because that's sort of like silly like you say, sketch comedy horror.
Slapstick.
Yeah, slapstick horror. This is like genuine, like, that's awful. Like, if someone told you that in real life, that would be the worst thing you've ever heard.
Yeah.
Like, it's horrendous.
Yeah.
And it's such a bizarre, like, part of the film that just doesn't need to be. She doesn't need, like, a tragic backstory. She's not in the film more than, like, 5 minutes. And, like, the first bit's just, like, she's a really well-established character as well. Yeah. Like, she's kind. She likes Billy and is, like, sort of intelligent. You can tell all these things from the few scenes that she's in. And then for some reason they give her this fucking horrible monologue about, like, this family tragedy. You just think, oh God, like, why? And then, like, and then the next scene is, let's blow up the movie theatre with all the gremlins in it. It's like, what is happening in this film? It's
a bit of a tone issue then.
Yeah, exactly. It's strange. That is a really weird bit for me.
Would you have found it funnier if it'd say, this is my pitch for a fix here.
Right.
Say her dad had always done Father Christmas. He didn't show up one year. And it's because, say, he ate, like, one too many mince pies and got stuck.
What, and still died? But
yeah. But it's
like, maybe, yeah, but it's still, like, it's like the sort of forensic detail of it. So it's like he broke his neck and died instantly.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And then they didn't find his body for weeks.
If he ate one too many mince pies.
Yeah, well, yeah, I don't know. Something like that, maybe. Or, like, he did it and got stuck and then, like, fell into the living room and his wife was there cheating on him and they got divorced or something like that.
Yeah.
Like some sort of thing that you'd read in a magazine that would be,
or
like, funny.
He came down there, but they got confused, thought it was a burglar and shot him.
Yeah, even something like that would be more, like, slapstick humour than...
a bit more Coen Brothers-y.
Yeah. Yeah, it is it's Coen-esque, yeah. There's even a scene earlier on when one character's watching a slapstick sort of Santa Claus falling off the roof and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, even something like that, Yeah. It's just the horrible thing. I mean, this is going off topic, but we were talking about caving earlier.
Right, yeah.
And people dying when they're caving.
Yeah.
It's not dissimilar to that. Like, the thought of being trapped in a claustrophobic space and just left dead there. Like, that's what happens to her dad. It's horrible. It's like 28 Days Later when the guy's talking about, like, trying to get on a train at Paddington and it's like
getting crushed underfoot.
It's like that level of horror anecdote.
Yeah, it is. It's very it's a misstep.
Yeah.
It's one of the things, by the way, that in terms of, like, the certification of the film,
right?
It's actually, like, talk about the certification of a film. It's pretty boring.
Yeah.
But this is actually interesting.
Yeah.
It was a landmark event on both sides of the Atlantic because, on the one hand, the British Board of Film Classification, Chris, the ones who certify the films for viewing, they had to decide whether to give it a PG or a 15 rating because 12 didn't exist.
Right.
So in 1984, it was deemed like this is totally unsuitable for children, and it was given a 15.
Okay.
In America, however, they created a special category for it, the PG-13 rating.
Right.
And that was actually invented for Gremlins.
Yeah.
And, like, the BBFC chairman or some shit, he travelled to America to actually go to the set and advise on edits and stuff.
Right.
It was a pretty big deal. Like, because it was this. It just didn't fit. Basically.
It was this in Temple of Doom.
Yes.
Wasn't it?
With the melting scenes.
Yeah, and, like, the heart ripping out scene.
Yes.
In Temple of Doom. And I noticed Steven Spielberg is, like, executive producer on this or something.
Yes, exactly it.
Yeah. So I guess there's like a connection there.
Yeah. You can get his it's got his DNA all over it, hasn't it?
Yeah. Especially the opening half.
Yeah.
Yeah. Could have used a bit more Spielberg in the second half, that's my opinion. Spielberg wouldn't have stood for that fucking Santa death.
Apparently he saw the first draft and said, recut it, take the Gremlins out and call it People.
Interesting. And then after that said, recut it, take all the people out and call it Gremlins.
So you said earlier you don't think the movie's aged well.
No.
Is that because of the puppets or because of the comedy
Well,
style?
the puppets themselves look quite good.
Yeah.
And I think there's always something that stands the test of time a lot better than CGI or whatever.
When it's done in camera with props, it always looks better.
And there's something about, like, 1980s, like, special effects monsters and stuff. It seems like they went through a phase of making everything, like, really, like, glistening and, like, wet and grimy and like that sort of stuff is quite an appealing, like, I don't know, aesthetic choice.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of why they look so tangible and they stand the test of time.
They've got character, haven't they? I think Gizmo in particular, because he's just one puppet, and when they do him in close up, it's very easy to make like facial expressions.
Yeah.
And they move him around the room, but actually they're just moving from one puppet to the other.
Yeah.
But he very cute.
Yeah.
Cool voice. But when the Gremlins are in a big group, it's more like an animatronic set.
Yeah.
So they just be like swaying from side to side or spinning around on the. It's a little bit like cheap.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I mean, like you have to sort of accept the limitations of the medium, don't you?
Yeah,
but
exactly.
like, yeah, I know what you mean.
Apparently, puppets were like not the first choice. The original idea was to have monkeys playing the Gremlins.
Oh my god!
Yeah, can you imagine? But they had to abandon that idea because they put like a gremlin mask on a monkey and it freaked out.
Screen test 1.
He's run off.
We need to go back to the drawing board.
He's bitten off his handless fingers.
Yeah.
We can't have that.
Well, I would say though that the highlight of the film for me was the animal that did actually make it onto the screen.
The dog.
Yeah, Barney.
Yeah.
Yeah, good dog. Very good cinema dog.
Yeah.
That's what I'd say.
He
Good
was
reactions.
Yeah, he was in another film as well.
Yeah.
Can't remember what one, but I remember reading that he's been in another film.
Good.
Look out.
Excellent trivia there.
So, Chris, as you know,
Yeah.
Gremlins has a sequel.
Yes.
Gremlins 2, The New Batch.
Okay.
Have you seen it?
No.
Do you know anything about it?
No.
There's Gremlins in it. You know that much?
I presume there's more than one.
Yeah. At least 2, based on the name.
Yeah.
Do you know whether Billy's in it or not, for instance?
No. I know absolutely nothing about Gremlins 2.
Okay, great. Then that makes it perfect opportunity for us to play my Gremlins 2 quiz.
Okay.
And play along at home if you haven't seen Gremlins 2, or even if you have. It might be a nice little way to test your memory. Each of these questions is multiple choice. There's 3 options for each one. I'll ask you a question, I'll give you the options, and then you tell me which one you think it is.
Okay.
Right? So question 1, what is the plot of
Okay.
Gremlins 2? Is it A, Billy's father, desperate to find the fame and success he sought in the last film, actually kept a mogwai hidden?
Right.
He's now set up a breeding operation which has put a mogwai in every home in America, making him and his family incredibly wealthy. But all that goes wrong when every home in America falls asleep watching It's a Wonderful Life at Christmas, and all the mogwais eat leftover Christmas dinner. Is it B, after the death of Mr. Wing, Gizmo has been kidnapped by mad scientists who are experimenting on him? They work for a company called Clamp Enterprises, which happens to employ Billy and his fiancée, Kate. They free Gizmo, but he gets wet, and that's the conceit of the film. Or is it C, following in his father's footsteps, Billy is now an inventor in his own right and owns a company called Peltzer Enterprises. He's married to Kate and has 2 children and is generally happy with life, but he still pines for Gizmo, whose photo he keeps on his desk. One day he receives a letter summoning him to Chinatown, where the will is being read of the old man from the first film, Mr. Wing. He's been keeping track of Billy and has decided that he's finally responsible enough to have Gizmo. Billy takes Gizmo home, but his kids host a pool party, and that's where it all goes wrong.
Is it a trick question and it's all 3? I reckon it is.
So your choices are
Every Home in America.
Every Home in America,
Yeah.
Mad Scientists,
Yeah.
or Billy the Inventor.
I reckon it's C, Billy the Inventor.
It's not.
No?
It's the Mad Scientists.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Right.
Yeah, so he's been... It's owned by this billionaire.
Okay.
There's mad scientists, and then it's set in a high rise, basically.
Right. Okay.
Question 2.
Sure.
During a scene in which the Gremlins get into a projector room in a cinema, they tear the film, causing a brief intermission. This is 1990, so what happens next? Is it A, Madonna stands up in the crowd, walks up to the projector room, all the Gremlins look at her, and she says to camera, "What are you looking at?" Like Vogue.
What are you looking at?
Right.
And then apologises to the audience for the interruption and turns the projector back on. Is it B, Bill Clinton is out in the lobby trying to convince the cashier that he should be allowed a special future president discount to see Gremlins 2, and he turns to the camera and apologises for the interruption?
Right.
Or is it C, Hulk Hogan stands up in the crowd and shouts at the Gremlins in the projector to turn the film back on before ripping his shirt off and breaking the fourth wall to apologise for the interruption.
Is it C, Hulk Hogan?
It is Hulk Hogan.
Yeah. It sounded like something Hulk Hogan would be involved in.
Yes.
Okay, you guys, listen up. People pay good money to see this movie. When they go out to a theater, they want cold sodas, hot popcorn, and no monsters in the projection booth. Do I have to come up there myself? Do you think the Grimsters can stand up to the Hulkster? Well, if I were you, I'd run the rest of Gremlins too, right now. Sorry, folks. It won't happen again.
3.
Sure.
After being tortured by the new Gremlin leader for most of the movie, Gizmo has had enough and decides to fight back.
Okay.
This is 1990, so what happens next? Is it A, Gizmo, suddenly wearing a suit, gets a miniature machine gun and says, "Say hello to my little friend," in a Gizmo voice, before shooting the Gremlin leader? Is it B, Gizmo, suddenly wearing a headband and ammo belt, throws a Molotov cocktail at the Gremlin leader, like Rambo?
Yeah.
Or is it C, Gizmo snatches a key card which allows him to escape the building, but he has to run away in the style of Indiana Jones with a water cooler bottle chasing him. The water cooler bottle eventually crushes the Gremlin leader.
I think C again sounds most plausible.
No, it's B. It's the Molotov cocktail.
Right.
Number 4, a character returns from the first movie. Is it A, Corey Feldman, who is visiting New York City on a field trip?
Right.
Like the film's set in New York, I should have said.
Okay.
Visiting New York City on a field trip and ends up in a protracted fight with a gremlin in a sewer? Is it B, Murray Futterman, who survived his plough accident and is now recuperating in New York? He chases a gremlin into the building and has a protracted fight. Or is it C, the biology teacher, Mr. Hansen, who is working as a scientist now in the building and gets his revenge on a gremlin after one tried to kill him in the last movie?
I think it's A, Corey Feldman.
It's B, Murray Futterman.
Right, okay.
He actually is revealed in the TV cast at the end, the newscast,
Right.
not to be dead. They said they're going to visit him in hospital.
Oh, good.
So, here we are. Number 5, a great actor lowered himself to star as the lead mad scientist in this movie. Was it A, Marlon Brando as Dr. Bedpan?
Right.
B, Christopher Lee as Dr. Catheter? Or C, Paul Newman as Dr. Hemorrhoid?
Is it B, Christopher Lee?
It is.
Yeah, I thought so.
And
Okay.
final question.
Yeah.
Which of the following types of gremlin appear in the movie?
Okay.
A flying gremlin with black wings that looks like a bat.
Mm-hmm.
B, a half gremlin, half spider hybrid. Or C, a female gremlin in full makeup and a dress, which forces itself upon a security guard in the building, later appearing in a wedding dress until he eventually gives in.
I think I was going to go with C, but you've over-egged the pudding there. And I reckon it's A.
It's all of them.
Fuck's sake. Right. Okay.
And that's your... So,
So I was right.
yes, in a way.
Yeah. So that's 3 out of 6.
Well, I think it's half. Well done.
Nice.
That's the Gremlins 2 quiz. Well done.
I look forward to covering that in episode 140.
Yeah. And well done to you playing at home. I'm sure you did very well.
Yeah. 6 out of 6, I'm sure.
Yeah. And we can also look forward to Gremlins 3, which they have announced and are writing.
Oh, it's not even made yet.
No.
I cannot wait.
So, Chris, with all that said and done,
Mm-hmm.
I think we've gleaned enough to discuss how we'd survive in the movie.
Yeah.
Gremlins.
Yeah.
1.
Yeah.
The 1984
Sure.
Gremlins. How would you survive if you were Billy?
Well, I want to take you back to when we discussed Child's Play.
Okay, yeah, long time ago.
That's the last time we covered monsters, or a monster which was of restricted height.
Yes.
They're about 1 foot tall, would you say?
Gremlins, yeah, they're
Yeah.
not tall people. They're not people.
Yeah. So that I would like to return to my tactic from the How to Survive section of Child's Play, which is basically run at it and kick its head clean off.
Yeah.
Because I still think that, like, I know there's bits where he's got a chainsaw.
Yeah.
This is Stripe specifically.
Right.
That, you know, I don't find any movie monster that's that small the least bit intimidating.
Well, I think the thing they do is attack in groups.
Yeah, but there are moments of the film he never gets really attacked by groups.
What, Billy?
Yeah.
Mm.
He manages using guerrilla warfare tactics to destroy all of them. And then it's just him versus Stripe, basically. And no matter what they're holding or what weapon they've got or whatever, I never find like a little monster like that intimidating, because I always just think, like, I mean, there's a bit where Billy's carrying a baseball bat.
Yeah.
Like, if he just hit him like full force in the head with that baseball bat, it would be like mush.
Yeah, it's tempting to think that they're just like say Chucky, they're just like plastic
Yeah.
because they're toys.
Yeah.
They look like puppety, but they are flesh and blood.
I know, but still, you just smash their heads in. And like, I know there are bits, oh, he's got a chainsaw or whatever. Like, you're a 6 foot man.
Yeah.
Just like throw
like
a rug over him and then hit him with it. Or
Yeah.
so, like, I don't know.
If a macaque had a chainsaw,
Yeah.
you'd overpower it pretty quickly.
You would like to think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do they know how to use like all electrical
I
items?
know,
as
they're,
well?
they're like masters of engineering and like
Chefs.
Yeah, mechanics.
Yeah. So basically, like, I just got a bit frustrated with the bits where they're in the department store and he's being shot by the little dart gun
Yeah.
and all that sort of thing. Just proper home run straight to the face with a baseball bat. He's
Yeah.
done.
Or
Yeah.
proper Hail Mary, just boot him
Yeah, exactly.
under the chin.
Yeah.
That's
Just
that.
it doesn't even really need to be a clean connection. He's going to go flying, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, fair enough. I think that would do it.
Yeah.
Maybe, but you do run the risk though of being more. There's more than one. But like you say in the final fight,
Yeah. Yeah.
no reason why not.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, I wouldn't want to give him any advice with dealing with the huge crowd of them,
No.
because they deal with it so effectively.
Yeah.
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 How about you?
Well, mine's just to be a bit clearer.
Okay.
The first one is, so we know the rules are told very specifically at the beginning. They're told first to Billy's dad, then they're told to Billy,
Yeah.
and Billy then tells them to Corey Feldman, right?
Yeah.
And they're all passed on in the same way, which is don't let them get wet,
Mm-hmm.
don't feed them,
Yeah.
and don't flash bright lights on them.
Sure.
No one says why, and if they did, I think they'd be
They
a lot more careful.
Do you know what? I won't buy this animal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you get it wet, it will spawn dozens more of itself.
Yeah, but like aggressive,
Yeah.
like annoying versions of itself.
If you feed
That's
it,
not a
they
good
will-
superpower to have on a planet that's like 80% water.
No.
Yeah.
If you feed it, it will turn into a demonic, smelly monster.
Yeah.
So don't do that. And if you shine light on it, it will literally die.
Yeah. Melt, no less.
Yeah. So if you had that information, you'd be infinitely more careful, I think.
Yeah. I think that is true. You need some context for those instructions, don't
Yeah.
you? But then I was about to say maybe he's just trying to make a quick sale, but that's not really the case, is it? Because he doesn't want to sell him. Like the actual owner doesn't
Yeah.
want to sell him, and eventually claims him back. You know, so he does know what he's getting into. I think, to be honest, like in this period of American filmmaking, Chinese is just shorthand for mystical.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, why would anyone want that? Oh, well, they're Chinese.
Yeah.
And that's as much explanation as
ever needed.
as is needed. Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I can't argue with that. There's a problem you might argue with the application of the rules anyway. But like you say, they probably would be more careful if they knew
The stakes.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you said to me, I don't want peanut butter in my sandwich,
Yeah.
and I thought, well, he's being fussy.
Yeah, I don't like it. Yeah, you
Yeah.
think, oh, he doesn't like it. Whereas if it's like, if I eat a peanut butter sandwich, I'll spawn dozens of copies of myself out of my back.
Yeah.
Like, you'd be like, okay.
I'll jam for you.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. That's
Yeah.
my first idea.
Fair enough. I want to return to what is a pivotal moment of the narrative, when
Is it when Fosserman gets run over by a plough?
No, it's when Billy feeds the gremlins, because he looks at his clock, Joe, and it says something like 11:30.
20 to 12.
Yeah, 20 to 12. We then, in a later scene, see in the school the clock's reading about 20 past 2 in the morning. Okay, so that's a disparity of about 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Yes.
Okay, now his biological clock surely is good enough to know the difference between pre-midnight and like nearly 3 a.m. Right? That's a disparity of nearly 3 hours. Right? If you had to guess, right, we're recording in the evening, okay?
Yeah.
Have a guess what time it is?
I think probably about 8:15.
Yeah, so it's 21 past 8, right? So you're 6 minutes out.
Right.
If you'd gone, is it
6 p.m.
yeah, or is it 11 o'clock at night? I'd be like, well, why would you think that? Like, it's not like Billy's been asleep and then wakes up because of the noise. He's been awake. He's still awake. He's like reading comic books and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, there is no reason for his biological clock to be that out of whack. It's crazy, right? But there's an even easier solution than, like learning like how much time has passed.
Yeah.
And that's wear a watch.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, it would have solved that problem. He would have looked over his clock and gone, oh, well, ignoring my obvious biological clock that tells me that can't be right.
Yeah.
I mean, do they not have any other clocks in the house at any point between his bedroom and the kitchen? Like, so basically, if he was wearing a watch as well,
Yeah.
it would at the very least make it much more difficult for them to enact their plan, wouldn't it?
You'd think that Dad would have invented a decent alternative to the clock anyway.
Yeah. Well,
Sundial.
yeah. Yeah. The sundial that's not been invented in 1984. Yeah, but basically, just learn how to fucking realise what time it is, mate. You're going to save yourself all sorts of problems.
Well, if I was acting as an apologist for Gremlins, could it be that he nodded off, just woke up?
It doesn't. We see no evidence of that though.
So it's an assumption.
Yeah,
Okay.
and he must have a clock in his kitchen as well. Like, double check.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
And they watch a movie as well. Him and Gizmo watch a movie, which presumably
Yeah.
they're not watching it.
Oh, let's start this movie at
3 a.m.
11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And it's this Das Boot, and it finishes, and he goes, "Oh, it's 20 to 12. That's shorter than I remember." It's like, you've got cats,
Yes.
right? If someone said, if you feed your cats after midnight,
Yeah.
that's really bad. That's really, really bad,
Yes.
right? And you went into the kitchen or whatever, and they were going, oh, in their cat voices, they're going, oh, feed us, we want food,
Yeah.
right?
Meow. Meow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd be like, I mean, firstly, knowing you, you'd be, oh, just fuck off.
Yeah. I
Right.
fucking fed you.
Yeah. And secondly, you'd go, well, what time is it? And then if you looked at one clock that the cats had like ripped the wires out, and it was 3 o'clock in the morning, but it was reading 20 past 11, you'd go, well, that isn't right.
Yeah.
Oh, they've ripped the wires out of the cat. These cats are fucking smart.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I would say, where have the last 5 hours gone? God, that was a really good comic book.
Yeah.
I've just read it over and over again.
Yeah. So basically, he's an idiot. How to survive. Don't be such an idiot.
Yeah. I mentioned perhaps the father could have invented a better clock,
Yeah.
but he's got thousands of inventions.
Yeah.
And he does they plant the seeds early on. Like, here's like a million inventions.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh great, we're gonna see the electric fly swatter. We're gonna see like some flamethrower he's made. No, we don't see any of it.
No.
There's no reason for him to be an inventor at all. It said to get him out of town.
Well, I thought the whole setup of it was to be that the mum was going to use the inventions to kill all the gremlins.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen.
No, that's
she
the
uses standard issue kitchen appliances.
There's no payoff to him being an inventor.
Like, there's not even a punchline payoff where she tries to stick one in that orange juicer thing and it doesn't work, and the gremlins.
See, that would have been perfect.
Exactly.
If he'd put it in there and then it exploded.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly.
There's no interesting ways the gremlins die
No.
because of the inventions.
It's like Friday the 13th, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It could have been. He could have been going door to door selling doorknobs.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no reason for them to be whatever he's doing. It's
Yeah.
so strange. So my to bring that back to a piece of advice,
Right.
use one of the many
inventions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we don't see any that have like an obvious offensive capability, do we?
Still, there's dozens. You just ring him up and go, Dad, you make things all the time. Yeah. What would you make out of the things you got in the house?
I can't believe, actually, thinking back at it, I'd forgotten how much I was assuming that the inventions would be.
Yeah.
Because there's the orange juicer thing, and then there's the card dealing machine as well.
Yeah.
And like none of them get like those ones are sort of they are like telegraphed as obvious like ways of killing the thing.
Yes.
Because they like spit stuff everywhere, and you're like, oh, that's going to be like a messy,
messy splatter death.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or
none of it.
The bathroom buddy, he's like, oh, I've just attached this like spring-loaded razor blade.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you're like, oh, great.
Yeah.
Now it finally makes sense.
Yeah.
Never mentioned again.
Never mentioned again.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of the dad.
Yeah.
I think I know why they're so poor. Right?
I blamed it on Reaganomics in the recap.
Yeah, I think there's a simpler explanation here, right?
Yeah.
So you watched The Apprentice.
Yes.
I watched The Apprentice.
Love
Have you
The
ever
Apprentice.
seen the candidates in a task go into a shop to sell a product?
Yes.
Like the product that they've got any given week. Like, give me an example of what they might have.
An inflatable fish.
An inflatable fish.
Yep.
Okay. So they go in and they go, hi, thanks for having us. We'd like to see if you as a retailer would like to buy any of these inflatable fish wholesale.
Okay.
I'm an inventor.
Okay.
It's a really good product. What is that? What is that thing in a box? I'll give you $100 for it without even ever having seen it.
In fact, what he says is, this is exactly what I've been looking for.
I've been looking for a mysterious noise coming from a box that I will buy sight unseen for $100, nay $200. Please give it to me. Like that's not.
How much do you want? What is it?
That is a staggering lack of business acumen being displayed there. Lord Sugar would not stand for it.
Yeah.
Right? He's a businessman. And he's going in. Not only does he not sell his product to the retailer, he goes out $200 down.
Yeah.
Alan Sugar wouldn't be going, you went in there. Let me get this straight. You go.
Yeah.
Right, you went in there to sell them a bloody bathroom buddy, and you come out with $200 worth of toot in a box, which you haven't even seen. That's it. It'd be fired.
Yeah.
It would be fired because he has no idea what. And like, how many times has this happened? How many times? Like his mum's on the phone to him. Oh, I'm at the exhibition. And there's the fucking the prop from the Time Machine in the background, and like the robot from Forbidden Planet. It looks like, and like she must be thinking he's going to come back with some fucking bullshit. Like, how was the conference? Oh, it was good. I spent $500 on this fucking like tin can with a wire sticking out of it. Yeah.
The bank's about to foreclose.
Yeah, exactly. We need somewhere to live. Please.
Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
I've got us covered. This little thing that makes funny noises.
Yeah. Because I've just invented the square wheel.
Making the illogical logical.
Yeah. There's a reason the illogical is illogical, mate.
Yeah.
Let's leave it at that.
But then there's also a thing like where he's like, oh, we'll put one of these in every home in the country.
Yeah.
Set it up perfectly for my idea for the sequel.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
No.
None of that. Maybe that's what Gremlins 3 will be. Maybe they'll be listening. If you're listening, Steven Spielberg.
It's my final piece of advice, and it's more of a preventative measure, but one that I think probably applies to most people.
Okay.
Hang out with people who are roughly your own age.
Okay.
Now,
is this like general how to survive advice, do you reckon?
Well, yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
How old are you? 25?
Mm-hmm.
If a child who...
How old are you?
25.
Nice one, mate. Well done. We're smashing this one, aren't we?
Yeah. I knew that as well when I asked.
Yeah.
General advice, Chris, for everyone really,
Yeah.
which is basically hang out with people your own age.
Right.
And that I mean, specifically, I'm talking to adults,
Yeah.
which Billy is an adult at this point. Now, it's all very well having friends who are kids, who come around your house dressed as Christmas trees, and yeah, sure. I mean, you know, I've got family members who are young, and we'll talk about video games and stuff. That's
Yeah.
fine. The issue is, if you have like precious objects and like things you don't want broken,
Yeah.
and you let children around them,
Yeah.
you're asking for trouble.
Yes.
I've got adult friends who I wouldn't let around some of my more delicate objects
Yeah.
because they're clumsy,
Yes.
and I certainly wouldn't let children near it.
No.
Corey Feldman is a child,
Yes.
and if you give a child something which is fragile, it's likely to be broken.
Correct.
So
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is solid advice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't. I mean. Yeah. I can't really. You can't really argue with that. I mean, it's very presumptuous of Corey Feldman to just.
Barge in.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. Are they friends? They must have an established friendship before that.
I'm sure.
He's not just going in there going,
No.
got your Christmas tree, let me see your comics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird though, isn't it?
It is weird. It's weird.
Hang out with people your own age.
Yeah.
There you go.
Did Corey Feldman need to be in the scene? Did it need to be Corey Feldman who...
Is he just in these films because he was like a weird child star? Do you know what I mean? Like, was he a famous child? And so it's like, we've got a film with a child in. Who should we get? Oh, let's get Corey Feldman.
Yes, I think that's probably the case.
Right.
But at the same time, they could have just said it like he spills it himself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Economize.
Yeah.
That's what I'd say. Yeah.
Yeah. Strange way
Strange
to write a
times.
film.
Yeah.
Well, that's my entire advice for the cast and characters in Gremlins.
Yes.
On how they should survive. Do you have any more?
I don't. If you, the listener, have any more, then the email address is howtosurviveshow@gmail.com. The Twitter handle is @howtosurvivepod. Please write, tweet, or email in with your suggestions. Next week, Joe, what are we covering?
Friday the 13th, part 8.
Yeah.
Jason Takes Manhattan.
Yeah.
Which means it's been 10 weeks since we did Friday the 13th, part 7, The New Blood.
Yeah. Only 10 weeks. Can you believe that it's only been 10 weeks? It's like...
It comes around quick because I'm just like, again? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like I look forward to my weekends,
Yeah.
right? And we normally record on a Monday.
Yeah.
And so obviously the weekend before then is often when I watch the films.
Yep. Sunday afternoon for me. Yeah.
I realised, like this weekend as well, this upcoming weekend, I've got the flat to myself.
Mm-hmm.
My partner's away. So I was like, oh yeah, this will be good. And genuinely, when I realised I had to watch a Friday the 13th movie, it has soiled the weekend for me.
Ruined it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like because it had that slight upturn after part 6.
Yeah.
Right, because it was like, oh, that was funny. That was a good laugh. Part 7 was truly dreadful. Right.
Yes.
It was a genuine travesty.
Yeah.
And then now we've got Jason Takes Manhattan.
Yes.
I'm reliably informed that only about 10% of the movie takes place in Manhattan.
Yes.
The
The rest is on a boat.
My hopes are not high for the movie.
I think they'll be met.
Yeah. So tune in next week.
I mean, you'll probably find it online.
Honestly, don't watch it.
No, I'd normally say
go
go
Yeah.
on Amazon, go Go on eBay.
Yeah, why?
No,
don't bother.
Illegally download it. 'Cause-
Don't even bother doing that. It's not worth it, is it? It's not worth watching the movie. You know what's going to happen, Joe.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
tell you exactly what happens, right?
Right.
It'll be a fucking shit, like, confusing intro.
Yes.
Where a man, like, either we see events from previous movies,
Yeah.
or a man reads some passage of text, or both. And then Jason will appear. Some people will die. They'll get on a ferry. Jason will get on the ferry inexplicably.
Yeah.
More people will die. They'll arrive in Manhattan and they'll be like, he kills someone with a taxi cab. Oh, he killed someone with a Statue of Liberty
Manhole cover.
thing. Yeah. They'll, fucking probably go in the sewers. They'll go in a,
Skyscraper.
yeah, exactly. They'll hit all the New York, tropes.
Mm-hmm.
And then he'll apparently die, but not really. And then the film will end, and another piece of my soul will die.
And then, do you think male or female lead this time?
I don't care.
No?
I care so little. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tune in.
How many boobs will we see?
Tell you what, Joe, the biggest boobs of all are us two
Yeah.
for agreeing to watch the films in the first place.
If you're late to the show, by the way, or like late to the series,
yeah.
we should recap that we do watch a Friday the 13th movie every 10 episodes.
Yeah.
There
'cause
are
it was
14
the first,
total. Yeah.
Yeah, there was the first one that we watched. And there's is it 11 in total?
12.
12. Okay. So two...
We're over the hill.
Yeah.
We're over the hump.
Yeesh. See you later.